Hi, awesome club. Welcome to episode 5 of Rebel TV. Today we've got a very special guest, one of Shire's own. Coached him at both Melbourne Rebels a couple of times, as well as City University. Great footballer, but a great human being. Welcome, Tom, mate. Really appreciative of you coming in by Zoom today and presenting on this topic, mate. So I think the message in this and the content that in your presentation that I've seen once before is just so relevant for what we're going through and all facing. So I'll kind of hand it over to you.
Thanks, Toddy. I suppose a few years ago, and Toddy would have bared witness to a lot of this stuff. I'd obviously made my Super Rugby debut, and everything was going along quite, peachy. And it got to maybe 2015. I'd just come back from a Wallaby Spring tour. I thought, my career path was probably meant to be going that way. And I had everything that I could ever wanted. I was doing the best job in the world. I had my family around me supporting me. I was living in Melbourne, a great city. And I wasn't happy. And it started reflecting in my football. I remember playing a game against, I'm not sure who it was. It was maybe 8 rounds in, I remember, because I had a bonus in my contract. And the bonus was if I played that game, I'd get $10,000. I just had to walk on the field. And I was like, all I have to do is walk on the field and I get paid. How good's that? And I was like, finished the game. I played absolutely horrendously. And I was like, well, there's a message here, like what's going on? And it came back to me thinking long and hard. And I was like, well, you're not grateful for anything. Like, why did you start playing rugby? It wasn't for money. It was for the love of the game. And if you're looking for that as an excuse for why you're playing, maybe you're doing the wrong thing. So I sat down and had a big, long look at myself in the mirror. And one of the big things that I found was lacking in my life was just a bit of appreciation and gratitude. So I started looking deeper into what gratitude was, and I came to the belief that gratitude is the quality of being thankful for different elements in your life or the people around you. It's just for looking for positive instances. So I think gratitude is really important because it helps us appreciate the good through the bad and the good while it's good, especially during times now. There's a lot of uncertainty going on. I know you South boys are meant to be kicking off, very shortly, and it's not happening at all, and neither it is for me. So it's all about flicking the lever and trying to find positives or little glimpses of light in these times. So for me, I did a lot of research on this, and I found that, gratitude is one of the elements that probably separates us humans from being animals. You look at logic, reason, gratitude. These are all different behaviors or whatever you want to call them that happen in our brain, a part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex, which only humans show. No other animals have this. And then looking further into this, I was like, okay, well then why do humans notice negative stuff more than positive things? I didn't get picked this weekend, or you've got an injury, I can't play with the boys, or, COVID's hit and, I'm in isolation with my missus and she's driving me up the wall. And you have it, but you start looking into it, you're like, oh, well, that's pretty easy to be negative and it's quite hard to be a positive person. And going back, they found that it's a survival instinct. So humans are more likely to recognize a negative in the environment 7 times more than a positive. And the reason is when you came out of your cave 100,000 years ago, you had to be, because there could be a saber-toothed tiger hanging around the corner about to eat you while you're going out for lunch. But nowadays, when the only meat I'm getting is at aisle 3 and it comes packaged with no teeth and claws, I probably don't need to worry about that. But it's a bit harder to change your DNA and your genetic makeup overnight. It's going to take a couple of 100,000 years. So we've got to figure out ways how to do it ourselves. So for me, the biggest thing I would say is a gratitude diary. So Every night I write down 3 to 5 points of different instances or little scenarios in my day that were a positive. So for instance, this morning, my missus made me a coffee for breakfast, which was awesome. It's a lovely sunny day up here in Sydney. And, I've got an opportunity to go and train with my brother this afternoon. So they're 3 of the few that I'll put down. And then I figure if you keep doing those and you keep searching for positive in your environment, it's actually crazy. By the end, you're actually looking for things that you want to put in there. And over time, I've been doing it for maybe 4 or 5 years now. When you look around, you're not looking at what's going on that's horrible. And well, you are if it's serious, but you're also looking for little positive things to chuck in that journal at the end of the day, which is a pretty cool thing. And then what complements this, I've found, is meditation. Now I slip in and out of meditation. It just depends on, if I have made time for it in the morning or if I'm not rushed. I really should be better at this. And when times are tough for me, I found it is a bit of a rock that gets me back to centering. And we live such a busy life, not at the moment, but usually, especially you boys juggling jobs, juggling footy at the same time. I know how that feels. Everyone's, grasping for something, chasing in the rat race. It's just important every now and then to just take a step back and just think about, yourself, giving back to your body. Practicing gratitude does take a little bit of time and commitment, and you just need to allot a little bit of time each day and invest in yourself to give back to yourself, because you deserve it, and you'll find the benefits. You'll be a much happier person, and you're just a little bit more clear-headed and more reasonable. So there are a few little key tricks I've been sticking with the last couple of years.
I've really noticed it. I think I coached you down at the Rebels 2015.
You were there that year.
Yeah, and that was a pretty full-on year. Started with an away win against the Crusaders, and it's just full on. It's the best way to put it. And then I noticed a massive difference in the way you approach things the last time I was at the Rebels. It's just so, I'm not even going to say happier, but just more at one, and ability, more resilient is a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
You just kind of went with the flow. Nothing really ruffled you. Whether it did, you took your time. And it's a pleasure having known you for such a long time now, that just seeing the way that you've gone about things. You just tell us a little bit. You're doing something with the Melbourne Rebels boys. It's a challenge round. You said ego is your enemy.
Yeah. So there's a couple cool books that I can recommend if you want to jump into this space. The first one is probably one of the books that has one of the biggest impacts on my life when I was going through that tough period. A past player called Hugh Pyle actually was getting rid of a bunch of books, and just off the cuff, I was like, yeah, maybe have this one. It's called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Accor. It's a great book. It just talks about, he's also does a couple TED Talks. He just talks about different strategies to, navigate through difficult times and how to be a more happy person. And I'm a guy that doesn't really like jumping into self-help books, but that was a really enjoyable read. And then the one we're going to get to is called Ego is the Enemy, also recommended by a past player. It's a current book, and it's a guy that just subscribes to a way of life called Stoicism. I'm not quite there yet. It's a bit too full on. But he talks about, watering down your wine, taking time for yourself, and all about investing in you. So over Christmas, I think he had a New Year challenge, which I've saved all these challenges. They're a daily challenge. And every morning or every night, you'll get a challenge sent to you by Toddy. I'll flick them through if you guys are keen. And it's just a little activity of investing in yourself. So day one is wake up and see the sunrise. Like, how many people wake up and appreciate what we have at our doorstep? Not many.
Especially in the Shire, mate.
I know. And then, another one is like, go find a quiet space and count to 1,000, which, really is all about what we were talking about before, where giving back to yourself, taking time to just chill out and relax and just let the world slow down a little while. And this whole challenge goes for 25 days, I think. And, you know, it's just a great way to dip the toe in this area of, you know, sport. Sport is such a physical game, but also we don't invest, I think, in the mental side of it enough. We're always about results on, you know, the bench press or speeds or, you know, how many tries you score in a year. But you'll find the guys that last the longest in this game are the guys that are the most mentally resilient, and the guys that have trained their mind to be able to deal with the hardships and the volatility of professional sport.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think you mentioned that you said about the lever. The best players have this innate ability. Well, it's not innate, but have developed an ability to hit the switch when they need to be on, and hit the switch when they need to relax and be away from the game.
Yeah, you've witnessed it firsthand. You know, your Tummeties of the world, even Sean McMahon. You know, everyone, like, the bloke can be not just chilling, walks over the sideline, bang.
Yep.
And you're like, how can you do that? I can't do it like that. I've got to find different ways to go about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and your brother.
Yeah, Sammy.
And I believe you're doing a bit of training down at the Great Foreshore, mate.
Yeah, am I coming down?
Well, depends if Ken bails you up again.
Oh, mate, I'll come down as long as there's no crowd to boo me like every time I come down there with my hoops on.
No, we're taking you as one of our own, as a you know, an estranged brother.
The prodigal son returns.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome, Ango. I really appreciate that, and keep sharing this and your efforts there, mate. It's great.
Yeah, awesome. If there's any boys or anyone's interested or struggling mentally, like I've had some issues in the past, I have a blog which I work with a company that Adam Thompson, the All Black, owns, and it's just about using my experiences just to, you know, break down the stigma on mental issues and gratitude and meditation and all those strategies to help us get through. So yeah, if you're interested, jump on that. It's Open My Brain. Give it a squeeze. There's a few articles. So
why do they keep running out of toilet paper? Because every time someone sneezes, 100 people shit themselves. Boom, boom.
2 goldfish are in a tank. The first goldfish says to the second one, "Do you know how to drive this thing?"
I had a dream last night that I was a muffler. I woke up exhausted.